All right, let's look over variables. So in coding, a variable can be thought of as a container or a storage box where you can save data to be used later on in your program. So just like in math, where variables might represent numbers, in coding, variables can represent a multitude of data types. And we're going to look at data types in the next video. So generally speaking, you have numbers, you have text strings, you have lists, or even more complex structures, which we will see even later on in the course. So when you create a variable, you're telling the computer, or in our case, the phone, to reserve a specific amount of memory space for that variable, based on the data type you've chosen for it. So some data types need more storage, others need less storage, and that's something that is automatically taken care of by Kotlin for us. So how much space it's going to require and take. And that is something that we can manually override, but generally speaking, most of the time it will be good enough for us not having to do that. And once a variable is created, you can assign a value to it. You can retrieve its value, or you can change its value as needed throughout the lifespan of your program. So that means the variable only exists during the time that your app is open. So once your app is closed, then the variable has no value anymore. So it's gone basically. All right. Variables have names, which should be descriptive enough to give an idea about the data it holds. So for example, if you have a piece of data that is going to be storing a name, then the variable name should also have name somewhere in there. So for example, if it's animal names, then you would call the variable animal name, just as an example, okay? So it should be descriptive enough so that you have an idea about the data it holds. So naming is really crucial because it allows coders to reference the stored data easily. So you can just get that data from the storage and use it every single time. Now, when you're manually coding everything yourself, that's probably just going to be fine enough to always enter the value yourself. But once you have more complex applications where, for example, the variable is generated based on certain conditions, then you don't know what the value of that variable will be. And that's why it's really important to have a variable that is stored somewhere and you can call it by name and then reuse its value, so to speak, inside of your further code, okay? And for instance, a variable named user age might hold the age of a user, while user name might hold the user's name. And these are two different data types, which we're going to look at in the next video. So to summarize, variables are like containers or storage boxes. They can hold various types of data. They have names to be easily identified and accessed in the code. And their values can be set, retrieved, or changed as needed. So before we see variables in action, let's just have a very quick overview of data types, and then we're going to use variables with data types in combination in the next video, and then you will get some exercises to try that out and test it for yourself and get really good at it. All right, so see you in the next video.